And, of course, with the eye of power, what we're trying to do is kind of talk about the ways that we either connect to the things that help us be the author of our stories, or the things that sort of tamp down our drive and ourselves, and
Nice.
the way we kind of give our power away, whether we do so. Usually we do it unknowing, right? But people give their power away and they don't realize they're doing it a lot of the time. And we have more power than we think, but in other ways we have less power than we think, right? Because anytime we think we can control somebody else, guess what?
It's a balance. It's always a balance. It's always a
That's right.
balance. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. So, well, let's get a little bit into you. I mean, we've talked a little bit, but I don't know that much about your personal path and how you've come to be a host of various shows and connected with
Sure.
some cool things. And you obviously are a guy of passion. So let's sort of just get into your origin story a little bit, Brig, if that's cool with
Absolutely.
you.
Well, yes. Well, I'm from Chicago originally, but I've lived in other parts of the world and North America. I lived in Calgary, Alberta for a while, and here in Los Angeles now. Always really been a entertainment and sports fan, and the show that we have right now in the Marquee Sports Network, Hollywood and Ivy, is really a kind of a lifelong passion come to fruition. In essence, we Joe Montaigne and I produced it together, and I've had other various shows in the past few years. I have a Notre Dame show, Notre Dame Fighting Irish football show called Inside the Golden Dome. That's was on KLAA radio and on Nesson television in Boston. But yeah, this is really kind of a passion project, this Hollywood and Ivy, and getting to do it and talk to other Cub fans and really kind of unravel who they are as entertainers as well as fans, and really kind of the pinpoint moment, which is unique, is a historical one moment of when they won the World Series, November 2nd, 2016. And where were you at that moment? And, it kind of culminates and brings us all together, So the Cubs aren't like the New York football Giants. They don't have four Super Bowls. And, so you have many moments to pick from, So that was our moment. And but it kind of solidified a lifelong labor of love. And it's an amazing thing to join and unite over. So, yes.
That's fantastic. And obviously that's passion. And, a lot of people would like to have a show like that and talk about the things they love. So there's a little bit of secret sauce or specialness that you bring to the table to get to the point where you can interview, you know, famous people and they'll come talk to you and your show has stickiness and gets picked up by networks and so forth. So what do you think it is that you were able to manifest that sort of experience, Brig?
Well, I think about this all the time, Tom, and the real honest to God answer is the word is leverage. And it's almost like you're a bartender and pouring a leverage beverage. And what the thing reality with Hollywood and Ivy is I host the show, I produce the show, and in many aspects, most importantly, I sell the show. So advertising is very big and knowing how to sell. And really, I was taught by one of my radio professors early on in Fullerton, California, in the shadows of Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm, that life is all about sales. It really is. And so, in essence, that's kind of a lot of what I base things on. But really, the leverage of knowing the people and having relationships and production value and big names are what move and sell entertainment. And so we balance that out, and you get that leverage, and then everyone starts saying yes in many aspects.
Right. You kind of get let into the club. There's almost like social permission in a way so
Yeah.
yeah, but there's something more to the story here because, again, we don't know each other that well. We know a little bit, but,
Right.
um, but one thing I've noticed about you is
Mm-hmm.
you are a fantastic person to have as a friend. In
Oh,
other
thanks.
words, you look really work on the behalf of the people that you're invested in and try to help them in any way you can. And to me,
Absolutely.
that's a superpower. And
Thanks, buddy.
how do you come along? Like, what is it that brought you in that
I
direction?
tell you something, I think about this too, leverage, and then these three letters I think about. And forgive me for being too civic minded, but the letters are EFB, and that stands for everyone's Ferris Bueller, right? He's getting me out. I'm getting you out of summer school, Tom. You know what I mean? So it's all about relationships and personal relationships. And I remember seeing Jerry Maguire when I was younger, and his made flashback to my mentor, the late great Dickie Fox. When you talk about this business is all about personal relationships. And so if you want things from people, you have to give and take and work for people and really go out there and advocate And I've had a lot of people do that for me, and I like to do that for a lot of people. So it's a balance. I feel like Shooter McGavin right now, and this is
It's great.
yeah,
I love
lucky
to.
to know all you. But no, but in reality, that's kind of the truth about it. And yeah, yeah, I do. So thank you for noticing, and you do
Oh,
too.
well, thank you. But you have a definite sort of energy that you pull into it. So I mean, some of that's probably God given, and some of it's you pointed to it, cultivated. But I love that everyone's Ferris Bueller. I love the references to pop culture because these are stories and messages that we all know, and it's whether we
Right.
internalize them or not, right? So
Absolutely.
one person might watch a movie like Ferris Bueller and say, "Okay, that was a you know, funny comedy about some smart ass kid."
Hmm.
But obviously there's way more to it than meets the eye. And that's what you see, because what was his superpower? This kid could do anything he wanted because everybody,
What
you
did
know,
they say? Everybody loves him. The Bloods, the sluts, the dweebies, the dickheads, motorheads, they all right. That's
because he gave to them, right? He was,
exactly, exactly. Yep.
and he was able to craft the life of his own authoring
Hmm.
because of how much he gave. So what you were pointing to in terms of energy, it's like it comes back, right? It's an investment, but
That's
it's a
right.
flow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So. Hmm.
That's a common theme that we talk about on the Eye of Power podcast. One of the challenges with this, of course, is maybe trying to steer it, or maybe people sometimes get burned. They invest in somebody that maybe they wish they could have not, like they did
Hmm.
something they didn't like, or maybe tarnish a reputation, or
Right.
just was vampiric, that just took, and that's all I
Hmm.
did. So, do you have any experiences like that, or any sort of insights along those lines, Brig?
Um, well, yeah, I do, but I'm also partners with Joe Montana, so he just makes them go. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So no, yeah, edit that
That's
part
back
out.
to
No,
leverage.
no, no,
That's
yeah,
back
no,
to
no, no.
leverage,
I
right?
honestly, the thing is that with people like that, they kind of, um, I kind of can sense them, and I can. I'm not saying weed them out, but you just start presenting who you are, and who you are can be strong enough to be like, well, if I'm going to try to, you know, I find I've got. Maybe I have, but I feel like I've learned from that, and I almost use that as my strength, and almost uh, I find that can be. hmm, It's I find that I try to be so transparent that I see that coming a mile away, and really, I'm fortunate enough I don't think to get affected by it that often. So
Yeah.
yeah, and everyone's perception is different. So you know, I don't feel like I've gotten over on a lot of people. I don't feel a lot of people have gotten over me. My friend, actually, here's some more pop culture. You know that Leonard Skinner lyric, I ain't hiding from nobody, ain't nobody hiding from me.
Mhm.
Call me the breeze.
I just roll along.
Right. Yep. Yep. My
Yeah.
good friend Mark Ellis said that, and Mark Ellis is a comedian at the world famous Comedy Store, and there's a collection of personalities there, and he really gets along with everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's so that's yeah. In essence, the balance of that is kind of what I strive for. So.
So you
Mhm.
made me think of a couple things there. It's funny because I was on a client call just before this, and we were going over the EQ instrument, which is a measure of our emotional quotient, our emotional intelligence.
Right.
And
Right.
it's unlike our IQ, where
Right. No.
IQ,
No.
you're sort of born smart or maybe not so smart, and you kind of have what you have, and you got to learn to play those cards. You can hurt it or help it a little, but there's not much you're going to do to make yourself one way or the other there. But with EQ, you can always work on that and improve.
Hmm.
And one of the dynamics that was emerging was um, she happens to be naturally sort of a quiet person, not very, probably going to let other people talk and speak sparingly. And we got into the place where it's like, in the space where you're not sharing what you think, if somebody's trying to figure out what it is that you think, do you think they're going to fill in the picture with positive or negative thoughts? And
Hmm.
she thought about it and she gave I think, what is the correct answer, which is negative, right? Because when we don't know something, we
Oh yeah.
project our insecurities into those places.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and we don't fill in the gaps with positive. Now, some people might, but I'm just saying in general, the
Yeah.
way that our psychology works is we try to protect
We
ourselves.
assume the worst. We assume the
Yeah,
worst.
exactly.
Hmm.
We have these
Yeah.
defense mechanisms that are built into our brains.
Yeah.
And so somebody like yourself who kind of, at least my experience with you is you don't leave a lot to be wondering about. You're putting your cards on the table.
Yeah.
You're gonna, if you think it, you're gonna say it.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's kind of squishes it. Like, hey, so you might not be somebody's cup of tea, but they're gonna know it right off, and you're gonna know it right off. It's
Oh
not gonna be
yeah.
one of these things where they're trying to figure you out or trying to,
Mhm.
you know. So I'm just wondering, in mentioning that, whether that inspires you to think in terms of experiences or insights that you might have.
I really feel as though kind of what you say, the effect is it kind of, you kind of get things, you know where you're going with someone, and you kind of can understand things, and really it's I find as though that can be a very clear, it's a very clear experience. So I
Mhm.
can't, as I'm trying to, maybe it's reverse psychology, maybe I can't because I'm trying to, but I really can't think of any, and I guess the realness of it is what's important too. So you can
Yeah.
kind of, if you're real, you can sense if other people are being real.
So you're leaning into that authenticity,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
dropping pretense. So being in the world that you are of, lots of sort of famous and not so famous and want to be famous, and
Uh-huh.
perhaps there's a lot of ego types
Oh
of
yeah.
folks
Yeah.
that are maybe playing a little bit of a game, and at the cost of that authenticity. Um, how do you, if number one, do you encounter those kinds of personalities? Number two, how do you navigate those waters?
So it's interesting you said that, because coming back to, I don't want to be too civic minded again, but Bob Newhart said this about my great hometown of Chicago. You cannot put on airs there because it's either colder than a hooker's heart or so hot you could fry chicken on my head. So in actuality and factuality, thank you. So in actuality and factuality, it's and like the people on the show, people ask me sometimes, they say, who's been difficult? No one, because they're all from Chicago, they're all real people, and you know what I mean? So I'm not trying to Dikembe Mutombo you, but I'm just saying that I found that in this auspice, under this context, really, that you find a lot of people that are real, it's interesting. It's interesting. In Los Angeles, people are either very afraid, or they're very, it's either fear, or what is it? Yeah, they're scared, or there's a lot of, it just becomes very simple to me. You know what I mean? So that's all I can keep expressing to you. You know.
So in LA, you encounter people that might be sort of fear-based,
Yeah,
and
it's either fear, they're either scared, or they're hung, or they're it's either sharks, or eat or be eaten. You know what I mean? So it's kind of
okay,
kind
all
of
right.
that. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, in a way, the sharks are oftentimes they're dealing with their fear in an aggressive way. It's not that they're not
Yeah.
unafraid; it's that they're aggressive, right?
Hmm.
Um, but in let's kind of spin that to uh, how people work in teams and organizations, because you're going to have these different personalities. People are going to be at different places as it relates to how open, how genuine they might be. I mean, those that have been hurt and operate from a place of fear might
Hmm.
not be doing it in a way that's trying to manipulate others or
Sure.
trying to you know bring down the team. They're doing the best they know how.
Hmm.
But are there ways, I'm kind of pointing towards the ways that you can bring people sort of out of their shell. You've got a natural ability to do that. I'm wondering
Yeah.
if you have
I think, you know what I can
ways.
really do. I can really make people laugh. You know what I mean? I can,
Laugh, of
and
course.
yeah, yeah. So and bring them out that way, and you know what I mean, and just kind of understand, what they want, and and honestly, Tom, talking about sports too. Look how much we connected over the New York Football Giants, and
Mm.
I'm not even a big Giants fan, but I know all about them because I'm a sports fan, and because of that, we have all these common parallels of conversation. We have
Yep.
all these nuanced serial connections, and that carries the day in many essences.
Well, those are two big ones, right? The humor, the fact that, look, it's hard to be afraid and be laughing, right?
Yeah, totally, totally.
Those two
Hmm.
things kind of cancel each other out.
That's right. That's
Um,
right.
and the commonality, of course, are those ties that bind. And what we're trying to do just psychologically is throw like little tethers across we're two ships, and we're trying to throw tethers to tie the ships together, and we can say, okay, we're cool, we're on the same team, we're going to a good place together. And
Here,
we're sort of always doing that subconsciously in a way. So looking for that commonalities, and then being quick to laugh and
oh
elicit a
yeah.
laugh. Those are great.
Here's an example of that. On Hollywood and Ivy, we wanted to have a guest ball, not a guest book, but a guest ball for the guest to sign. And
Okay.
so we film our show at Universal Studios, and there is a Dodgers clubhouse gift shop there, and we wanted to have it for this episode. We did. So I went in there like 10 minutes before the show, and I saw the guy that was working there. He was a 26-year-old, had tattoos, had a Cheech and Chong t-shirt on. And I said, "Hey, buddy, I filmed this show, and you know who the guest is today? It's the villain from Pineapple Express." And when he heard that, oh boy, I mean, I'm talking about pop culture unlocking doors with keys. He just, whatever you want, we know what I mean? He just get, I said, "Thank you, buddy. Thank you." And I knew exactly what he needed to hear. That's really it too, Tom, is what do people need to hear?
Well, yeah, that's a great skill to cultivate. And of course, I mean, that's a great movie. That's so funny.
And you can look at someone. I mean, I liked it. My dad had that. But you could just look at someone and tell. Like, remember Sherlock Holmes? What is it? Your name is John. Your father's a doctor. You're from the north of England. Like, I like to look at people and figure and just know that stuff. And people, it's interesting because you care about people and you want to relate. And that whole thing, I like to understand and connect sincerely.
So to me, what that is that's an actual natural curiosity, right? You just said it. You want to know.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so I think that's another huge takeaway, right? And it's something we talk about all the time is cultivating curiosity, a sense of, there's a theme emerging here because there's a sense of sort of playful exploration, right? Have fun, right? We share these experiences. We go to see a movie, we get a story, we experience a ball game together. It's a story, it's a narrative, something has happened, it's drama,
That's
people
right.
are involved in it. But it's a shared experience and it's part of our human walk together.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm kind of hearing you say is let's do this and let's be genuine, right? And let's have fun with the laughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's be interested in each other and sort of um, you know make it a good time, right? Why borrow trouble if you don't have to?
Oh, absolutely. And I heard Kevin Smith say this recently. He said, I don't want to hear about bad movies anymore. I don't want to talk about anything bad. I want to talk about what my favorite movie is. I want to talk about I want to talk about what I love. I want to talk about what I'm passionate about. I want to talk about, good things. So,
Yeah, yeah,
mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That makes sense. The 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 idea of you kind of people sort of elevate themselves with criticism of others, right? They feel like they are.
Sometimes they do, but it's a false sense of security. So I don't believe, I think that's not real currency
I
in many
totally
ways.
agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. Totally.
Hmm.
And,
Totally.
and but it feels to them like they're, I don't know. Oops, did I lose you?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
No
Oh.
worries. It feels to them like they're somehow superior. Like you said, it's a false picture. It's a false narrative.
Yeah.
But it's a trap that people fall in.
It can be. It can be. It can be. And yeah, being around comics too. I didn't mention this, but being around comics too, you can kind of have a quick wit sense of humor, and you can almost say that to people. No one wants to be humiliated. You know what I mean? So nope, doesn't matter if you're. So you can sense those things. You don't use it, but you let people know it's there just in case. So that's kind of how I'll tell you what. That's a huge deterrent. That flushes out a lot of empty, vampiric people, as you might call
Okay.
them. So. Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if you're hanging out at backstage at comedy clubs, you're dealing with a lot of people that are sort of with the program, that want to have fun, that are know these things that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of them are really great, beautiful people. They really are. And I'll tell you something. Here's and then what time is it now? I have a call at 10:45.
Oh, okay.
What time is it?
It's you got 25 minutes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. But a lot of the people at the Comedy Store will tell you, like, some of the most angriest comedians on stage, like Sam Kinison, are beautiful, kind, caring people off, because that cathartic effect of releasing that energy and getting it out makes them
Yeah.
more whole and balanced and kind off stage. So
Oh man, was he great or what?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So mm-hmm.
There's so
Yeah.
many, when there's certain things that just stick with you your whole life, you've hit a home run there, right?
And I love the fact that Rodney Dangerfield discovered and introduced him, because they were similar, but not, you know what I mean? He's like, hey, it's like Rodney went to the zoo and brought him a pet. Look, Matt, I want to make Mad Sam.
That scene in Back to School with
I know.
that's
Yeah,
so classic. That's so good.
absolutely. That's right. That's right. I hold history very dear and sincere, like a farmer holds the earth and holds
That's
that,
right.
like a Christian holds his marriage sacred. I hold that very sacred history, setting the tone for that insanity. You
That's
know,
right. That's
um,
exactly
and
right.
I love Rodney Dangerfield's one-liners. They were the best, weren't they? I told
Oh.
my parents gave me no respect when I was a kid. I said I want to go skating on a frozen pond. They said wait till the summer.
I
It
like
was
that. There's a line in Back to Score. He's like, "Yeah, that marriage was a disaster. I'm an Earth sign. She's a water sign. Together, we made mud."
That's right. And remember the commercial at the very beginning for the, are you pleasantly plump? A little on the hefty side? Let's face it. Are you fat? When you go jogging, you leave potholes? When you make love, do you give directions? Do you open a menu and say, okay? When you go to the zoo, do elephants throw peanuts at you? That whole thing is right.
Hey, and if you want to be skinny, hang out with fat people.
That's right. If you want to feel thin, hang out with fat people. Thornton Mellon.
There you go.
Remember he beats that woman. Hey, you look like a big pool table in that dress. No offense.
Or his every scene that he did in Caddyshack, of course.
Oh yeah.
So can you
That's
make a
right.
shoe smell?
Yeah. Yeah. This is Mr. Wang. No offense.
It's funny. Every time I drive by a cemetery, I think of him saying, country clubs and cemeteries, biggest waste of prime real estate.
That's right. That's right. Oh my God.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Anyways,
But no, but these are good things in the sense that we have these shared, connections to reality. And it seems like we need more laughter in the world, right? It's too many people
sure.
are not laughing enough.
I mean, you could say that, but I feel like there's all these great outlets of laughter right now, so they got to
Well,
look in the
that's
right
true too.
places.
Yeah,
People
that's
are
true
fun.
too.
Dave
Yeah,
Chappelle's
whenever I
funnier than
say
ever.
something like that, you're right. It's always dual because, and I mean, I just had a kind of a conversation with somebody yesterday where they were sort of pessimistic about the world ahead, and I said, "There's reasons to be concerned, but there's also reasons to be optimistic." And
Yeah,
we're entering new phases with how AI is coming on and the globalization of things, and who knows what doors open. We can worry about all the risks and the problems and the changes people have to make, and there will be pain and there will be growing problems, and we're going to have to be called upon to rise above them. But that ability to sort of stay light with laughter, I think, is a real key ingredient.
absolutely, absolutely, buddy, absolutely. Yeah, this has been wonderful. I've enjoyed myself today. I hope you enjoyed. It's been great talking. So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. So if somebody wants to tune in to your show,
but
the
you go to
Hollywood and
Hollywood and
Ivy,
Ivy is on the Marquee Sports Network in Chicago. Marquee Sports Network, and so that's also that's in Chicago, and it's also on what extra? No, sorry, on DirecTV. You could get Marquee Sports on DirecTV and Hulu, and you could check out all the episodes on Brigham Avery Productions. That's my YouTube channel, Brigham Avery Productions, and we've had Gary Sinise, Gary Cole, who because of Pineapple Express, Bonnie
yep.
Hunt. We have some really great guests upcoming too.
Get Bob Odenkirk. I like that episode.
Billy Corgan. So dynamite.
Good
And
stuff.
James Belushi was amazing too. So it's been great.
Sounds like anybody who's big in Chicago, big Chicago.
That's right. Yes, coming soon. The Ghost of Al Capone. Imagine that seance. But
wow,
it's
great
been
stuff.
wonderful. So
Great
yeah,
stuff.
perfect.
Well, thanks so much, Brig. Appreciate being together today. It's been awesome.
Oh yeah, it's been great. It's been great. I hope that you got what you needed, and this is wonderful. So
yeah,
I appreciate your time as well.
You gave a number of good little. All I'm ever doing is trying to give people a little nugget or two, and you did a great job there. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I thought there was good, good camaraderie, and it was like kind of a nice, like a friendly contrarian. You know what I mean? Like kind of I think we completed each other, Jerry Maguire.
There we go. Yeah. Hey, and thanks again for sending Rob's book. I started in on it. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
he,
absolutely. He's
yeah, it's
great.
good
So
stuff.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you doing that. And
Oh, no problem.
he was my job coach way back, and really he's been a helpful, good friend, and it's nice.
Cool.
It's all part of the journey. So
wonderful. Yeah, he and I talked about getting back together, and I'm going to read his book and then develop something. We'll have another conversation, probably put on the show.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yep.
All right. We'll be in touch.
I'll let you go, Brig.
And we'll more synergy to come. I'd like to bring more guests to you, and you can bring more guests to, look forward. All right.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brig.
Okay. Good
stuff.
Be well. We'll be just like LT and Bill Parcells. Totally trash.
Nice.
Totally trash.
Nice.
Take care, Tom. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Yep.
Got it. Later.
Today on the Eye of Power, it's my great pleasure to welcome Brigham Avery to the show. Brig's a television host. He is, you'll find out, he's a very passionate, very powerful kind of personality. So we get into a little bit of the things that kind of make him able to manifest the kind of experiences that he wants to have. And we get into some good stuff as far as what are some of the ingredients that we can use to sort of further our abilities to do the things we want to. And a little preview, little hint, it's through relationship. And Brig's fantastic in that regard. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Brig to the show. Hey, thanks, Brig, for being with us today. Very much appreciated it. Um, the laughs, your insights. I love all the references to some of the things that bring us back to the days, the Rodney Dangerfields and the Ferris Buellers and all that stuff. And these kinds of things are often seen as I don't know, somewhat frivolous, don't matter, distractions. And yeah, entertainment can be a distraction, but the power of story is not. And the ability and habit to make people laugh, that's also extremely important for the ways that we described, where, you know, sometimes, there's a lot of emotion and you got two choices. You can laugh or you can cry. And they're both valid, but laughter is the thing that sort of melts the defenses. We talked about laughter and fear don't go too well together. So if we're in a place where we are hesitant and fearful, laughter is a really, really good solution. And I mean, they do studies on this, right? They do. You've seen the correlation between laughing regularly versus, and how well correlated that is to good health. So what we think of as perhaps light and doesn't matter much turns out it actually has more weight than we thought. So I think that's worth noting and pay attention to. And go out to a comedy show. Go watch an old comedy movie. Let yourself laugh, be light, make jokes, try to make somebody else laugh. Be quick to see the humor in maybe some tough situations. These are all very healthy habits. Um, I loved his comment about EFB, everybody's Ferris Bueller, and um, if you haven't seen that movie, please go see it. It's not only is it funny, but it's a very good little allegory and metaphor for life. And there's a lot of little light lines there that stand the test of time. I mean, this movie was made in the 80s and it stands the test of time 40 years later. So um, that's a that's a good one. And the character Ferris Bueller is somebody who is at that place where is able to manifest and do the things that he wants to and resist those things that he doesn't want to do. And he does it not through putting other people down or trying to get something over on other people, but rather appealing to what's their needs are, what's good for them, and elevating. And it's woven in the under current of the story. You have little examples of how he treats his best friend Cam and his girlfriend, and even his parents and his sister, and really all the characters, how all these dynamics are things that we can learn from, pay attention to. So it's actually quite a good piece of art. So that's definitely so. Everybody's Ferris Bueller, meaning everybody can love into and care about other people and do things for them, and those things can't help but sort of circulate around. And we talk about it often. Stephen Covey talks about this habit of emotional bank account deposits, right? So you're you're building good feelings with people as you contribute to them systematically, and those things build up over time. And then when things don't go the way that you'd hope, um, you might have to take a withdrawal there, but it doesn't go all the way down to zero. So the relationships are stay intact. And so these are some of the things that are inspired Brig inspires me to think about, and I hope the same for you. So thank you for joining us today in the Eye of Power. Be well.